Someone needs to level that place.
Welcome back, I'm Ryden from Bluewood Gaming, and today I'm giving my thoughts on Red Faction Guerrilla Re-Mastered. Now, before we get into this, there's two things that I need to say. The first one is that I was given a key to review this, so take that into consideration whenever I say anything about the game. The second one is that since this is a review for a remaster, I will separate this up into two sections. The first one is for the people that never played the original release, and the second section is for the people that have played the original release. If you have played the original release and you somewhat remember what it's about and whatnot, then skip to the time code that I will put on screen right about now. If you skip there, then you won't have to listen to all the stuff that would just be refresher for you. So, yep, now the time code's going to go away. And we can get into this review for the people that have not played the original Red Faction Guerrilla. So, let's get right into this. Back when this game released in 2009, and even to today, there's one thing that makes this game stand out from a bunch of the others, and that is the game's engine, which is the Geomod 2.0 engine. It specifically allows and is designed for massive destruction of everything besides the terrain itself. And I do mean everything. Every building, every tower, every bridge, any man-made structure that you see can be destroyed. And the entire game is based around this destruction. The challenges in the game are usually see how many points you can rack up by destroying everything in this area. Most of the side missions are destroy a specific building, and even most of the main missions are using the destruction in some way, shape, or form. In the specific mission that I show off in this video as the background footage, the different objectives were destroy some towers, then go and destroy some more stuff, kill some people, and then go destroy more stuff. Destruction is the main purpose behind this. So let's actually shift a little bit and go into the story and why you're destroying all this stuff. To sum it up and not really give any spoilers, you play as a character named Alec Mason, who comes to Mars to just earn a living and work. He's met by his brother when he comes to Mars and almost immediately tells his brother, hey, I'm not going to become a terrorist no matter what happens. The first time that he goes out on a job to demolish a structure and get scrap, which is the in-game currency, his brother is killed by the EDF, or the Earth Defense Force. Yeah, he immediately becomes a terrorist and joins the Red Faction, and thus starts the rest of the journey, and I won't spoil much more than that, but yeah, essentially everything that you're taking down is trying to destroy the EDF in some form. All the buildings that you go after are EDF buildings, all the people that you're trying to kill are EDF members, and just everything like that. Sadly though, the story is not exactly a strong point of this. Thankfully, it's not absolutely terrible, and it doesn't rely on any of the previous Red Faction games, because there were ones before Red Faction Guerrilla. I believe there was 2 Red Faction games before it. This references those games, but it gives you enough explanation that you don't need to play the first 2 before playing this one. But yeah, overall the story is just kind of forgettable. Now, before we go on to addressing the people that have played this game before, there are just a few random things that I want to mention for the people that haven't played this before. And these are mostly going to be just negatives that I remember. The first one of which isn't actually a negative, but it's the gravity difference in this game. Mars should have about the same gravity as Earth, but in this game they lowered the gravity a bit, so you do jump a little bit higher, vehicles feel more floaty, and just different things like that that make some subtle differences. Mostly when you're driving is when you're going to see that, because jumping in games is normally exaggerated, but all the cars feel floaty because of the way that the gravity works in the game. Another thing, and this is a personal thing for me, back when this game released, it was not a frowned upon practice, or even an uncommon practice, to have just like endlessly respawning enemies. Like, heck, even games like Grand Theft Auto still have that, and some of the other big open world games have endlessly respawning enemies. But this one just takes it to a whole new level. Like, there will never be an enemy, like, not shooting at you in just, like, some sort of firefight. Even if you take out every enemy that you can see, there's going to be ones just right around the corner. And thankfully, in this game, they don't flood you with enemies. It's just, like, a little trickle of enemies that always come after you. Sadly, though, that is, like, kind of annoying when you're trying to somewhat peacefully take down a building or something like that. You just have a constant stream of enemies, and it doesn't matter like what building you're going after. Like, there could be nobody around, and you start taking down a building, and boom, you have a bunch of EDF guards around you. So that's something a little bit. So yeah, let's that's pretty much the only things that I can think of to really say for new players. So yeah, that's everything that you need to know as a new person that hasn't played Red Faction Guerrilla when it originally released and are looking at this. So let's go into addressing the people that have played Red Faction Guerrilla when it originally released. And essentially, this can be summed up very, very simply. This is the same game as before. It looks slightly better, but it still looks kind of old. Like, you wouldn't really ever mistaken this for something that came out recently. Like, this game still looks kind of old, but it doesn't look bad anymore. Like, the original Red Faction Guerrilla release nowadays doesn't exactly look the best, but now it just looks so much better, and you can put up the 4K and all these different graphical enhancements that they normally put on remasters. And so now it looks decent, but it still looks old. And besides the graphical enhancements, there's really nothing here for people that played the game on its original release. Though, like I said before, no game has really come close to Red Faction when it comes to destruction. So if you really want to go around and destroy a bunch of buildings in a glorious fashion, then you might want to take a look at this again. But let's go into my final thoughts on it and whether or not you should pick it up. So, here we go. Simply put, Red Faction Guerrilla Re-Mastered is a decent-looking open-world third-person shooter from 2009 that feels like it's in 2009 and has some aspects that were common back then but are definitely dated by today's standards. And really, I think that if you didn't play it back then, you're not going to want to put this up to the standards of games that like come out today, because it's definitely not going to live up to all the standards that we have for today's games. So let's get into whether or not I think that you should get it. And before we actually separate this up into the categories, if you own the original release of Red Faction Guerrilla on Steam, you get this remaster for free. So right there, if you own the original Red Faction Guerrilla Steam release, then you just don't have to worry about it because, hey, this game's free. There's no reason not to just claim it and have it in your Steam library so that if you ever want to play it, you can. Now, for the people that did play it in the past, I'd say wait for a sale. Like, this is the same game. It looks marginally better. Really, the only reason that you're going to get this is for the destruction, and I wouldn't pay the $30 price tag just to have this as a fun destruction toy for a few hours, or however long you plan on playing it. For a new player, I recommend also just waiting for a sale, but not nearly as deep of a sale. Just like something maybe 30% off or so. And yeah, this, like I've said multiple times, this is a game that came out in 2009. and it feels like it's a game that came out in 2009. And so, if you didn't play the original release back then, while the destruction engine is great, it's not something that you're like majorly missing out on. Don't get me wrong, it is extremely fun to play it, but it's just not up to the standards that we have on most of our current games. So that's it for my thoughts on Red Faction Guerrilla. If you have any questions, put them in the comments and I will answer them. As for everything else, remember, I'm Ryden from Bluewater Gaming, and I'll see you guys in the next one.